Everybody, this is Matt with the Education Game, and as you know, we've been speaking with a ton of parents over the last several weeks. Here's some important feedback that we think might be of interest to you if you're in education, if you're a parent, or if you're just curious. Let's go to the whiteboard. So when we have been talking to families, we're starting to see that there are some patterns emerging, patterns of how parents are thinking, how they're approaching school. So prior to school opening, most were pretty apprehensive about how this was going to work. You know, they had been soured or burned by spring semester, and they were, again, just a little bit apprehensive. And then three parents groups started to emerge. And let me draw them out for you. So we see kind of a bell curve of families, and I'll name them groups A, B, and C. Now, we'll start with group C. These are families who do not like virtual instruction. They are interesting, though, because they actually represent two distinct subgroups. And one group of families whose lives are just complicated, they really have a hard time dealing with the logistics of a virtual learning environment. But then there's another group here, and these are parents whose kids are doing really well in the traditional model, and they feel threatened that the virtual school might somehow impact their child's success. And so in some ways they were playing the education game well, and they didn't want the rules to change. Now, this group, I tend to call them the hope lost or the hope losing group. These are parents who, again, are worried that things are changing and that their kids are going to have a worse outcome as a result of COVID. So hope lost or losing, right? Group C, or group B, excuse me. These are the parents who are kind of on the fence. They know they've got concerns with COVID, but they're also beginning to realize that little Johnny may not be the great student that they thought. Right now, they're seeing him day by day, and they're seeing that he cannot read very well. He's struggling in math, and they're asking now us and everyone they know for advice on how to accelerate their kids' learning during COVID. Now, to me, this is the greatest opportunity that COVID has brought. These are the parents that have the opportunity to get better and better at learning how to educate their child at home. And if we can get these parents ready, whatever happens to COVID, whatever happens to schools, these parents are going to have a better sense of how to drive learning outside of school. So this is the opportunity. So I call this group the hopeful group. Hopeful group. And then group A are parents who went from being apprehensive about virtual learning to now they're enjoying it. They actually see this as a better opportunity. Yes, they've got some concerns with things like socialization, but they like the flexibility, they like the slower pace, and they wanted to be more engaged in their child's education as well. And so now is their opportunity to do so. It also seems, though, that these parents have a better handle on kind of how the future of work is shifting and how remote learning is becoming more normal and, frankly, in many ways better. I wrote a blog post about this a few weeks ago called The Unbundling of Education. Many of these parents are leaning into virtual instruction, and they're starting to iterate to make it work better for them, better than the old way. These parents are already telling me that they don't want to go back to the old education model, right? So there's going to be a conflict here when and if schools open up normally. This, again, is the hope fulfilled group. These are the three groups that are starting to shake out in education, at least as we see it. So that's it for now. Please join us this upcoming Saturday for another webinar. This will be the last in our series of virtual learning, although we'll probably do more in the future. Go to theeducationgame.com/webinars to sign up. Thanks for listening. This is Matt with The Education Game.